All right, welcome back. So in this video, we're going to learn about another type of loop in Java. It's called a for loop, not the number four, but the word for. Okay, so these loops are actually way more popular than while loops. You may not like them at first because you've already learned about while loops, you're comfortable with them, and it might be hard to change. But for loops are the same thing as a while loop. It's just kind of easier to write and less coding, less lines of code. So we'll start with an example. Let's print the numbers 1 to 20. So if you remember a while loop, I would have to create a variable to control the loop. So I could make x start at 1, and then I say the word while, and then I need a Boolean condition, so my loop condition. So I want to run the loop while x is less than or equal to 20. Okay, so as long as that's true, I'm going to run this code. And I'm going to do two things. I'm simply going to print line x. Okay, so the very first time it's going to print 1. And then I'm going to add 1 to x. So you could either do x++, or you could say x is assigned to x plus 1. Both of those will work. You could also say x plus equals 1. That's another way of doing it. But x++ is the most common way to add 1. All right, so this will work. This will print all the numbers from 1 to 20. There it is. Don't forget to select unlimited buffering, and that will allow you to scroll all the way to the top. Okay, so what would this look like as a for loop? Well, basically, all three of these components we're going to put to a single line like this. So I'm going to remove that and remove this. And up here we put the word for, and then we're going to have a set of parentheses, and we're going to put three things inside the parentheses separated by semicolons. Okay, so we're going to put something here, something in the middle, and something at the end, and then close the bracket. So we're going to put three things in here. Now, the first thing is just the declaration of your loop variable. All right, so this is what I had before up top, up here. So this is, we're going to create the loop variable and give it its beginning value. And then the second thing is going to be the Boolean expression. So as long as x is less than or equal to 20. And then the last thing is your increment or decrement statement, whatever you choose to do. So I'm going to say x++. Okay. Now, you don't put a semicolon after the last one. You only have 2 semicolons here. And then this space is not really needed, but I always, just out of habit, I always put it in. So that's up to you if you decide to do that. Okay, so you'll notice this is the exact same thing as what I had before, except all three of these items are on one line of code. You'll also notice that now I only have one line of code in the body of my loop. So really I don't need these curly brackets. There. So this is a lot more condensed than what I had before. Now, you don't always have one loop. You don't always have one line of code in a for loop. This is just one example. There are many for loops where you have many lines of code inside, and then you're going to have those braces. Okay, so the braces are only needed if you have more than one line. Okay, all right, so that's it. So if I compile and run it, then it prints the numbers 1 to 20. Okay, what if I wanted to print the numbers, let's say 10 down to 1? So if I wanted to go backwards, well, you would just change your beginning value to be 10, and you make x go down by 1 instead of up by 1, so minus minus. And then this you would have to flip the other way. So you would say, as long as x is greater or equal to 1, right? Because at the beginning it's 10, and then it's going to be 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then it's going to be 0, and then this is going to stop. It's important to know that this is the first thing that happens, and then we check to see if that's true. And if it's true, then we're going to go in and do this code. So it's going to print 10. 10 will be the first value printed, and then this happens. So this x minus minus doesn't happen until the loop runs once. Then this is going to happen. So now it's going to be 9, and then we check our expression, and then we do this. We print 9. And then x minus minus, x goes down to 8, and then we check this expression, and then we print 8, and so on. Okay, so this should print the numbers 10 down to 1. All right, and then one last thing. What if I wanted to print the numbers horizontally with a tab between them? Okay, so we could just change this print line to print and then concatenate a tab, and that should do the trick. Okay, I just have to scroll. Can't see the scroll bar. There it is. Okay, so if I just scroll to the left, okay, so I have 10 as my first value and then 1 as my last value. Now, you may look at this and say, well, I like while loops better. Why use a for loop? Well, the benefit to using a for loop is if you had a whole bunch of code in here. So let's just say I had, okay, pretend this is different lines of code, but pretend I had like 100 lines of code inside a loop. And trust me, in some of these video games that we play, you'll get way more than 100 lines of code inside a loop. But the cool thing about a for loop is that you only have to look at this one line, and you can control all the parameters of the loop. So you can control the starting, the ending, and the increment or decrement value. In a while loop, you'd have to be scrolling up and down to change those 3 items. Okay, so a for loop generally is better to use. A while loop is better if you were doing something like the password program. So this is a program that continuously asks the user to enter a password until they get it right. And a while loop would be better for this situation because we don't know how many times the loop is going to run. So, I can't say for sure that the loop is going to run 10 times or 20 times. We don't know how many times this loop is going to run. So in those cases, a while loop is actually better if we don't know the number of times it's going to run. But if we know how many times the loop is going to run, then a for loop would be more efficient. Okay, I'm going to end it here. I've got some exercises for you to work on, and we'll see you in the next video.